You're muted, Georgia.
Okay, good evening, everyone. And thank you for joining us in this forum sponsored by the Elmira Corning branch of the NAACP and the Steuben, Chemung County's League of Women Voters. I'm Georgia Verdier, president of the Elmira Corning branch. And as many of you know, the NAACP is an advocacy organization working to ensure justice and equality for all. We believe that information can be powerful. So tonight, the panel will be addressing one of our game changers, economic development, which plays a major role in our standard of living and quality of life. COVID-19 dealt a devastating blow to the economy, and as a result, we remain in the recovery zone. However, in spite of a new normal, life goes on. Therefore, we must continue the recovery journey. We have invited a panel this evening to share information that we believe will be helpful in terms of navigating through the devastation of COVID-19. So at this time, I will introduce to some and present to others our moderator for the evening, Mrs. Astra Titus. Astra is a law and social policy analyst and strategist, an activist and fervent mother and wife. Her career has focused on developing and implementing legislation, policy, and programs that serve and or enhance social justice law and policy. Throughout her career, she has worked with and within a wide variety of institutions, social service agencies, public interest law firms, small businesses, social policy foundations and think tanks, city and state governments and court systems, state Supreme Court justices, and the US Congress. Astra and her husband Lee have two awesome boys, and I hope I got his name right, Astra, Jose and Hank. They live on Seneca Lake in upstate New York. Ladies and gentlemen, Mrs. Astra Titus, the moderator for the evening. Astra.
Thank you, Georgia. Oh, I'm getting a weird feedback. I think people probably need to mute. If you're not muted, that might help. So thanks, Georgia, for that great introduction. I am thrilled to be here. This has economic development has has recently just become extremely important to me, a passion of mine. And most of that has to do with meeting Jerome, Emmanuel, and Joe Cummins. They have, but with connecting with them, I've sort of re-energized my passion for economic development. So, and with their help, the three of us are trying to take things by storm and get the word out about services, resources that are available, but also start, just have discussions on what's happening and why do we think it's happening and how do we get out of this sort of economic state that we're in and create better communities, especially for brown and Black people. How do we, bring businesses and community together to strengthen our communities? So I am going to, I will let Joe and Jerome introduce themselves. Yeah, well, let's do that. And then I'll start with asking a question to kick it off. Jerome, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. And thank you for the introduction. Thank you, NAACP, Ms. Georgia. Always good to see you.
Oh, actually, sorry. Let me hold on one second. Georgia, were you going to introduce him, or did you want him to?
Well, you can introduce him if he's more comfortable having you introduce him. I don't care.
Sorry, I thought I saw you jumping in there. Jerome.
Well, I will say this. When Georgia introduced you, I felt like you should run for office. So I think if Georgia introduces like me, it would be
Yeah.
way better than
Yeah.
me just doing it
It'll
myself
be like you running for president. Anyway,
or
let's go.
something. Yeah.
Oh, FYI, people, by the way, Jerome and Joe and I are really dear friends. And so if it seems like we're insulting each other, we really are. Just kidding. All right, go ahead, Jerome.
Okay, so my name is Jerome Emanuel. I am Community Development Director for Alternatives Federal Credit Union in Ithaca, New York. And we serve 7 counties around Southern Tier. And we're here to provide as much information as we possibly can about what's going on and what we can do to help.
All right. Joe.
I didn't learn very much about Jerome in that introduction.
No, not at all.
But I'm Joe Cummins.
Jerome, would you like for me to introduce you? Okay, I have it right here. Okay, folks, Jerome Emanuel, community leader and former candidate for Chemung County Executive, was born and raised in Elmira, New York. Jerome has dedicated most of his life to community service and continued to serve and collaborate with local organizations and other community leaders to find new solutions to old problems. He helped create the Elmira Entrepreneurs Group with Incubator Works and has worked with EOP, Cornell Corporate Extension, Chemung County Chamber of Commerce, Entrepreneur Task Force, the Transformation Center, and was an active member of the Business and Commercial Development Workshop for Elmira's Empire State Poverty Reduction Institute, ESPRI Award. Currently, Jerome is Community Development Manager at Alternatives Federal Credit Union, Ithaca, New York. Jerome, the man on the move.
That was so much better.
Do you want
That
me
was
to
really good.
You
You
want me
made it
to,
sound good.
want me to do Joe too?
Yes, please. Make him sound better.
I owe you one, Joe. Okay, Mr. Joe Cummings. Joe Cummings, MS, has taught financial education at Alternatives Federal Credit Union for over 20 years. His popular course, Money Wise, is mentioned in the book, Wake Me Up When the Data is Over, and evaluated in research papers by Ithaca College and Penn State University. Currently, Joe's new role is to ensure marginalized and underserved communities have access to fair financial products and services, entrepreneurship support, and the ability to build generational wealth through home ownership. Mr. Joe Cummings.
Hooray! Thank you, Miss Georgia. I was going to correct for Mr. Jerome, it's Community Development Director.
That's right. He is a director.
Okay, what did I say?
I think custodian, I'm not
Oh,
sure.
I said manager. Okay,
Oh, boy.
director. Okay, thank you.
So, well, thanks for Georgia for making us all sound way better than we probably really deserve, but that's okay. So I wanted to just sort of frame this panel tonight or discussion tonight, looking at kind of like what is happening in our local communities in terms of economic development, and how can we improve it? What are the resources? What are the steps? What are some of the things that we can tap into to start rebuilding and recovering, for our communities? So I will kick it to Jerome and ask you, what, in your opinion, do you think are the prevalent sort of economic issues in Black and Brown communities, but in general as well?
Yeah, thank you, Astra. I took a look at some of the questions coming in. Thank you for sharing. And I think it really depends on who you are, where you are, and what stage you are, as far as where the issues lie. Right now we're dealing with inflation right now, which is going to lead to a recession, certainly. And how do we prepare for that? Especially in Black and Brown communities, and for people that don't have pensions saved up in retirements and all kinds of things, and people that still have hopes and dreams of wanting to start their own business and trying to do it in this kind of climate. What are the options that are available there for you? And I don't know how a lot of people grew up in their homes. I can just tell you how I grew up in mine, and I don't come from money. How do you teach somebody how to manage money if they've never had it, right? How do you teach somebody how to have good credit if they've never had good credit? And I think a lot of it has to start now. It has to start with how we're teaching the next generation, how they're teaching that generation, so on and so forth. The best thing to do right now for all of us is kind of analyze where we all are financially, and really try to plan for the future, for tomorrow as best as we possibly can. And sometimes that's easier said than done. But that's why we have, at Alternatives, we have resources. We have people such as Astra, that you can reach out to, you can help. We do have financial counseling, people that are willing to sit down with you and have a conversation about really hard discussions, especially regarding personal finance, that can talk about your personal financial situations and help you create that plan. This is a free resource available to the community, that we can provide. If you're looking to start your business, to get your business off the ground, or if you're looking to close your business, which in some cases is a viable option. We have those services available where you can, talk to us. We can, discuss what the plan is, what your plan could look like moving forward. And at the end of the day, we provide this service because our mission is to serve underserved communities, for the areas that we serve. And this is what we wake up every day for. This is what our passion is. This is what our passion has been, will continue to be. And, I think that as coaches, which in some way, shape, or form, a lot of us here on this panel, not including the people that are talking, but even the people that aren't talking, a lot of us are coaches. And, our job isn't to tell you what to do. Our job isn't to tell you what you should do. Our job is to give you the information so that you can make a conscious decision on what to do. So the best thing that we can do is provide the information and try to help you move forward.
Thanks.
Okay, Astra, before you move forward, I would like for you to back up and have the invocation and the welcome and the greetings. You have a
Yes.
copy of
I'm sorry, we just jumped right in, didn't we? All right, let's do that. Georgia, would you like to do the invocation?
No, it's on the program.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm just all over the place tonight.
Okay, I can, the invocation is to be done by Reverend Lindsay Black, Associate Minister, Calvary Baptist Church, Ithaca, New York. Lindsay?
Yep. Good evening, everyone. Will you join me for a word of prayer? Dear Heavenly Father, we just thank you for the opportunity to gather together this evening. We thank you for the opportunity to hear more and to learn how to be more financially wise, how to pass this on to the next generation. God, we know that you are a God who seeks to bless us abundantly. And we ask that in this time, in this space, that you would help us to learn how to use those blessings well, how to save, and how to be able to share what you give to each one of us. For our future. Lord, we ask that you would bless the conversation that is had this evening, God, that you would allow what we learn here to be able to continue to grow each one of our communities, Lord, and in Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Okay. Thank you, Lindsay. And the welcome is by Dr. Jimmy L. Williams, First Vice President of Economic Development Chair at Elmira NAACP, Corning, New York. Dr. Williams. You're muted, Dr. Williams.
Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Jimmy L. Williams. As Georgia said, I am chair of the Economic Development Committee And this is one of the forums that we are sponsoring. Economic development is one of our game changers for the national organization, and we as a local branch continue programs underneath that banner. We'd like to welcome all of you here tonight. Some of you have been attending many of our forums in the past, and we'd like to welcome those people who are new for the first time attending one of our forums. Because the nice topic, finances. Finance is something that we all like to learn more about, as we are living in turbulent times, and the finances are not very stable at this point. But we'd like to just welcome all of you. One of the things we're doing on economic development is we're starting to post open job positions on our internet site. You can go to the Elmira Corning internet site and see some of the posted jobs that are available in this area. So I'll pass the word on that that's something that we're doing, posting positions that are open. I also would like to urge you all to take out a membership in the NAACP. You can take a membership by contacting one of us, or you can go online to NAACP national website. Our branch number is 2144. So if you're so inclined to take out a membership, again, welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you, Jimmy. And the last thing before I give it back to you, Astra, is we're going to have greetings from Mrs. Diane Rowe, Program Chair, Steuben, Chemung County League of Women Voters of Elmira. Diane.
Thank you, Georgia. When it was the Steuben County League of Women Voters, maybe 7 years ago, we decided it wasn't enough to just have candidate forums. We should also have issues forums. And I have to admit that most of us had no idea what the plight is of the people around us. What is the plight of our neighbors? We started a series called Finding Voice so that we could try to listen to the voices of our neighbors. And because we do believe in the league that everyone should have a voice. Our first program, I turned to Georgia. Actually, I turned to Diane Folk, and Diane Folk led me to Georgia. And we had a program about incarceration. And since that time, Georgia joined the Steuben League, and then she helped us turn it into a combination of the Steuben Chemung League of Women Voters. And we have had now the advantage of hearing from the NAACP and joining in programs with the local NAACP, which has helped us be more in touch with issues in our neighborhoods. So I thank you for putting on this program, and I thank you in economic development for recognizing the plight and then joining in the fight. And we in the league also try to work on legislation that is pertinent to what the plight is. And that's why I hope we'll see you on the bridge in Elmira on Saturday. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Diane. And I'll say to Diane came up with the theme P.F.I, Plight, Fight, Insight. So thank you, Diane. And Astra, that's all that I need to do. And it's back to you now and the panel.
Thank you, Georgia. And I apologize for my overzealous, I wanted to just dive right into economic development. But thanks everyone for your comments and for your information. Diane, I love what you just said, that by partnering with the NAACP, you've been able to become more aware about, issues, drilling down deeper into communities. And, I think that's what we're all about, right? And I appreciate that the Women's League of Voters is on the front lines, just sort of trying to get at the root of those issues. So I appreciate her and co-sponsoring. Okay, well, Joe, I wanted to ask you actually both of you, what you think some of the barriers are to economic development, and particularly to local economic development, or in terms of people getting the help that they need, whether it's, so community economic development and also individual family, that I guess I'm saying.
Right. So I just want to start by introducing alternatives if you're unfamiliar with our credit union, because we're a special type of credit union called a community development financial institution. And that means we're certified by the US Treasury to serve low-income communities, marginalized folks, and businesses. So when you hear Jerome talk about what our mission is, that's who we're focused on. And it's unique to have a CDFI credit union in this region. So, I mean, we're happy to be out here. We're happy to be doing the work to help improve people's lives. So I guess I want to start. I don't actually have the opportunity to share my screen. So we're going to practice using our imaginations tonight. And so I want you to imagine a graph with 3 bars on it. And one of them is really tall. And it says $188,200. And that's the median net worth of white families in this country as of 2019. And then I want you to think of a really small little bar for the Latinx community. And that number says 36,100 is the median net worth of those families. And then I want you to really think of a tiny little bar over here. And this bar is for Black families. And it's $24,100 is the median net worth of Black families. This is just very, very harmful to our community, very destructive. And, for the last 22 years, I've been working to help lift families out of poverty, help them. Well, I mean, what's happened? I mean, why did this happen? Let's just go back for a second. So I got another graph. I'm not going to make you imagine it, but it's the average credit score by race. And so the industry standard for financial institutions is they want you to have at least a 680 credit score to borrow money from them. The average credit score for Black families in this country is 677. So now if you can't get a loan to get a car, to get to your job, you can't get a mortgage to get a house, that's when you hear when James Baldwin said, anyone who has ever struggled with poverty knows how extremely expensive it is to be poor. So we want to change that. I mean, we want to get in there, and our products and services are meant to provide fair financial products for folks in this situation. So folks with poor credit, these are the people who struggle the most. And then it's difficult to get out. And why is that? Because our system has set it up to keep people in poverty. So what are the ways to get out of it? Recently, we had refinanced. We ran into a bus driver out in Chemung County, and we found out that he had a car loan at 25%. Right. So a lot of money was going into this, what we call predatory lenders, high interest lenders. Other folks call them sharks. And we were able to refinance that to 7.25. Now, because all our loan officers are certified financial counselors, I get a call from Carol, and she says, Joe, I was looking at his credit report. He's got another predatory loan on there too. He's got a personal loan on there. It was at 28%. And she's like, you call him up and you tell him I'm gonna roll that into the car loan. So we wiped out both those loans, put them into a car loan at 7.25%. And I did the math on this, and we saved him $4,600 in interest payments if he were to stay with that loan, right? And this is the man, he had a business. He wanted to start a business, and he couldn't because he was paying the shark all of his money. So these are the steps that we can take. I mean, Jerome says this all the time, one family at a time. We're just going to go in there and we're just going to go change their situation so that they can start building wealth and start doing the things that they want to do. If they want to own a home, let's get them there. If they want to start a business, let's get them there. Jerome, I'm sure you could add to that.
Yeah, Jerome, come on in here. What do you think are some of the barriers? And then, what do you think are some of the solutions, including the solutions that alternatives can offer?
Well, I mean, we really have to talk about the barriers, right? Because, people that don't think that generational wealth is not real, it's real. I can promise you. And that's one of the things that we're, really hyper focused on is helping families create generational wealth, and not just Black families, poor white families, just people that are in poverty in general. And I think that that's where a lot of our focus is. As far as the why, Joe kind of gave a rundown on the why. We can, taking a look at the numbers, and, for some people that have never seen those numbers before, or heard those numbers before, it sounds shocking. It was shocking the first time that I've heard the numbers, but is it believable? Yes. Do you believe that that's the truth? Yes, because it is the truth. But who's going to tell you that? Who's going to tell you that that's the truth, right? The system isn't designed, for people to have access to all of the information. The system isn't designed for poor people not to be poor. Where, James Baldwin say, it's very expensive to be poor, yeah? But somebody's making money, right? So somebody is making money off poor people, right? So we have to do our best with education, the absolute best that we possibly can with education, which is some of the services that we provide. Is one of the services that we provide at Alternatives that I'm the most proud of is the education piece. Having the ability to be able to teach people and teach families one at a time, because there is no other way. There's no shortcut to long-term progress. There just isn't. It has to be one family at a time, one person at a time. So what are some of the solutions? Like, we have to start now, so it's great, yes, that we can, help people get out of their predatory car loans, that we can, help them get out of, predatory personal loans. And that's a great thing. It's a great service that we provide. But what we have to do is educate people in our community to stop taking those loans in the first place. Why do they take those loans? Because the mindset is different, right? So if you have great credit, what's the first thing on your mind when you go to apply for a loan? What's the interest rate? I need to know what the interest rate's going to be to determine if I'm going to go with you or if I'm going to go with somebody else. Or if you're poor and you don't have great credit, what's the first thing that pops into your mind? Am I going to get approved, right? So if I can get approved for the loan and you're going to give me the loan, do I care that it's 25% interest? Probably not. Do I care that it's going to take money off of our table? Take money off of the kids' tuition? Do I care about that? No, I care because I got approved for a loan. I'm happy to sign at a 25% interest rate because it's going to do something for me right now. I'm not thinking about what it's going to do for me 3 years from now because my problem's today. So what can we do, right? This is where the financial counseling piece comes into play. We have to be able to prepare for tomorrow. So one of the things that we do at Alternatives is your credit score is not a determining factor on if we're going to give you a loan or not, right? Now, it may sound shocking to some people. It sounded shocking to me when I first learned what a community development financial institution was. But saying that having poor credit is not going to be a determining factor in if you get a loan, Does that mean that we don't look at credit to rate the loan? No, that's not what it means. But it means that we're not going to give you a predatory loan just because you have poor credit. You know, we understand that there's extenuating circumstances. And are there extenuating circumstances, or is it poor money management? If it's poor money management, we can teach you poor money management. Extenuating circumstances are things that it's hard to prepare for. You know, so we have to, you know, educate each other. You know, and as Georgia says, each one teach one. I've heard her say it 100,000 times, and it's true. You know, we have to educate each other, then educate somebody else on what we can do moving forward and how to stop these predatory loans from happening in the first place.
Joe, so I think Jerome hit on a really good point about the education and sort of separating the tools that are out there from the services, right? So like alternatives, you know, we have a lot, we can do financial counseling, we have a lot of, you know, sort of robust services that people can take advantage of, as well as the tools that we may offer, like, you know, taking care of predatory loans. So I guess my question to you is, how do we, well, it's sort of what Jerome was just saying, how do we educate people? How do we get the word out there so that people know that they don't have to take a predatory loan?
I know this answer. I know this answer.
Do it. Tell us, Joe, tell us.
So, you know, since I've been teaching financial education, you know, people ask me when I tell them I do this for the credit union, and they say, "Oh, you must have a degree in finance, right?" And I'm like, no finance, because the money part isn't the problem. The adding and subtracting isn't the problem. It's not the accounting. It's the shame and the embarrassment. So my background is in counseling, and that's what I spend most of my time doing, working with people. So that's, you know, through my class, it deals with this shame and this embarrassment around managed money, because we're told there's a myth in this country that if you're poor, something is wrong with you. And that's one of the most harmful statements to believe that you could have, because it just stops you cold from moving forward. And, you know, I can't, you know, again, the number of adults who have cried in front of me when I show them these charts, because I carry them around and I can show them, because they were blaming themselves for their situation, that they made mistakes. And I can show them that those mistakes are actually part of structural racism. It's set up to keep them poor. Then, right, this relief comes by because they've been blaming themselves the whole time. So that's really my job, is to alleviate that pain from people so that they can then start moving forward and start looking ahead. Okay, what information do I need to know? But your answer to your question is that information can't go in.
Right.
Until they're alleviated of that pain.
Right. Yeah. And I think that that's, you know, something that for those of us that work in the community, or even just, you know, with family and friends, is something that I really take forward and really aware of, is in having those conversations, to just give that space to be like, yeah, listen, there is no shame, you know, and to open the door. And I think, like you just said, that is a huge relief, and that is exactly the space that people need to, like, put that one foot forward. And so, you know, again, I think whether it's through our own personal lanes, or through alternatives, or, you know, some sort of other mechanism, I think it's critical for people in our communities to understand, like you said, Joe, that, like, poverty, there's no shame in poverty, right? And that it's just a matter of connecting. And I think that that's one of the things that one of the things in economic development that people don't realize, right, is that it's all about connection, and it's about connecting individuals, connecting business, small business, connecting. So yeah, anyway, just wanted to throw that in there, but go ahead, Jerome.
I mean, I don't think that we can talk about economic development without talking about mass incarceration, without talking about how incarceration has helped the current situation financially, of a lot of families. And we've talked about this in the past. Once they, label you as a felon, right? Once they label you as a felon, what's your path moving forward? Where do you go from there, right? It's hard to get a job. For a lot of people, you have to start your own business because that's what's necessary. That's what you need to do. How do you take care of your family? There's those kind of things. We're one of the only institutions that I know of, especially in this region, that will give you a loan, for reentry. We do that. I can tell you a personal story of a friend of mine who, was incarcerated for 10 years. He was released from incarceration. He paid his debt back to society. And he says, hey, I know that you work for a bank, right? Called it a bank, because a lot of people don't know the difference between a bank and a credit union. So that, I know that you work for a bank, and, can you help me get a business or get an account open, because I can't get an account open because of my felony. And I said, well, at our credit union, yes, I can help you get your account open. We got his account open. Next thing is, he calls me a month later and he says, hey, is there any way that you can help me with the loan so I can get my last month in security deposit for a new place? I need to get out of this halfway house that I'm in. And we did that. And then he calls me another month later and he says, hey, my fiance and I we're paying on this car, and I noticed that it's at 24 point something %. Is there anything that you can do to help us? Yeah, we reduced it to half, less than half actually. And removing some of those barriers. And now he has a job working at Cornell University as one of the people in reentry. But that's kind of what I'm saying here, right? Like, so there's these barriers that are up that are preventing us from moving forward. What we're trying to do is remove some of these barriers, so where, there aren't so many roadblocks in the way of creating a path towards success. And success is a very loose term. It's just like saying economic development. Success is a very loose term because it depends on your own personal definition of success. It's not up to me or you to determine, or me or anybody else to determine if you're successful or not. Personal opinion, and Asher, you can stop me if you want to, but if you feel that your best career path is working at McDonald's, sweeping the floor, and that gives you passion, and you're okay with that, there's nothing wrong with that. You just have to build your financial life on that income. Can you do that? If you can, great, right? It's not my job to tell you that that's success or not, right? So, as I said, as coaches, what we're designed to do is to give you the information, which is what this is about, which is what this forum is about. This forum is about information. There is, for a couple people on this call, and Georgia and I have been working together for years on multiple things, been fighting poverty for as long as I can remember. And I do believe that we have the best tool in the toolbox to help fight it. We just need to let people know who we are, where we are, and to get a hold of us so that we can do what we do. We have a whole team of people that are passionate about helping people. And this is as sincere as I can humanly possibly get. But we have the best tool in the toolbox with having a community development financial institution right in our backyard. that people just don't even know about. You know, a lot of people know about it in Ithaca because that's where the home is, but that's where our branch is. But, you know, we service Chemung County, we serve Steuben County, we serve Tyler County. You know, we can and we want to branch out to help people. Especially people, you know, in poverty, especially people in the BIPOC communities. And, you know, essentially we need your help. We need your help to let other people know that we exist. And that we're a safe place. Because what's another thing that people don't do? They don't trust banks, right? They don't trust banks. Banks are out to get us. We're not a bank. We're a credit union. We're a community development financial institution credit union. It's a little bit different. So I can let Joe get into that a little bit as far as the CDFI piece, but we've been really working very hard to brand ourselves appropriately as a community development financial institution and what that means to our community.
So I did want to ask Joe to talk a little bit about the education that you've been doing in the prisons or in the jails, and you know, just briefly sort of describe that, but then also maybe, you know, get into, I don't know if there are any other services or tools that Alternatives, you know, has that you want to specifically highlight. But otherwise, we can also, if we want to open it up, have some chance for questions, and you know, so go ahead.
I can answer that question too.
Good, Joe. You're so good. So good.
Thank you, Esther. Yeah, well, I want to add one really clear example of removing a barrier. We also had, there was another gentleman we came across. He had spent 22 years in prison. He's an artist. He teaches art to cancer patients, to other juveniles. And I just happened to find out that he didn't have his driver's license. It was revoked. He had a $1,000 fine he had to pay, and he was never going to pay that. So he walked everywhere. He also worked in re-entry, but he walked there too. This wasn't a young man. So we just wrote a check for $1,000, and I picked him up, drove him to the DMV, and we gave him a check. He paid off his fine. Next week, he's got his driver's license. It's just simple. You know, it was simple, and it was wrong to hold him back. It was wrong for him to be held back, right? He was a huge asset to the community. So I also started doing Zoom in the Tompkins County Jail. And, you know, Jerome mentioned this reentry loan that we've been doing. Part of the problem I've been discovering with that loan product is that, you know, once someone enters the community, as Jerome pointed out, it's not very welcoming. And there's a lot of depressed people because they're supposed to get a job and they can't get a job. They're supposed to get an apartment. They can't get an apartment. So it was a lot of lost hope. But what was interesting is that when I started Zooming with the prison inmates, the jail inmates, they actually were really motivated. They wanted to start businesses. They wanted to figure out how to buy a home. Like they got time. They got time and they were super motivated. So I've just been meeting with them weekly, and they've just been, word got out, and all of a sudden the women's side wanted to come in. You know, everyone wanted to come in and join. So that's been super inspiring, and we hope to do more work, and so hope to bring our entrepreneurship education, you know, right to the jail. So while they got time, so that when they get out, they already have a structure to work from, not let them get out, find out how hard it is, and then try to, you know, educate, you know, try to get services to them. That's way more difficult.
Thanks. I guess I'll just leave it for the two of you. Any other things that you would like to highlight, whether it's about alternatives, about you know, economic development within our communities? The floor is yours, and then we'll open up to questions.
No, again, you know, Astra, thank you for, you know, just giving us a space. I'm not, you know, to be upfront, I'm really not trying to make this an infomercial about alternatives. You know, that wasn't the deal. That's, you know, that wasn't, you know, exactly what this was about or what it is about. but we have to let you know what the tools are that are available and who provides them. And when I joined this team, you know, it was kind of like, wait, you can do what? You can help people do what? Like, really? And then I saw it, right? We put, you know, we have people working behind the scenes, and we put $100,000 into the BIPOC community and women-owned businesses in Chemung County. Just just, you know, within the last, you know, 5 months. I've seen it. I've seen what we can do, but I also know what we can do moving forward. You know, we need community partners, we need community stakeholders, you know, people that believe in what this community can look like and not accept what the community is, right? We can change it. And when we did that, I don't remember asking any government officials if it's okay. Hey, do you mind if we give somebody a $10,000 grant for their nonprofit? I don't remember asking anybody's permission. We did it because it was the right thing to do. When we were talking about helping the gentleman that was incarcerated that needed the loan, or that they needed, you know, the cash to get his driver's license back, it wasn't a how are we going to get this done? It's how soon are we going to get this done? How fast are we going to be able to do this? Because this is borderline criminal, right? So we're here to do that work, and we understand what some of the barriers are, especially for young entrepreneurs, because in some cases this is, you know, this is the only help that's out there. And I've owned and operated 3 businesses in my career, and I've done it all the same way, right? Gone into my bank account, took out all the money that I had, everything that I had saved up, borrowed some money from my mom, borrowed some money from my dad, borrowed some money from a friend, and threw it all together. And here's what I got. And I'm going to start and run my business, and I'm going to do the best I can with what I have, because nobody's going to give it to me. I never in a million years thought that I could walk into a financial institution, ask for a loan to get our business, to get my business off the ground. And then I did it again. And then I did it again. And I found a way to make it work because it had to work. You know, in some cases, like this was the only option. But what if I didn't have to do it that way? What if I could do it the way that everybody else does, that has good credit, that comes from a wealthy family or whatever the case is? What if I didn't have to do that? We have an option for you. We can help with that. We can help with your business development plan. We can help plan your business. We have accountants, we have attorneys, we have marketing, we have a lot of tools at our disposal, you know, to be able to help get people off the ground, and most importantly, stay off the ground, because that's also important. What are you going to do when you get all this money? We need to teach people how to handle the money, because again, like I said back in the beginning of this broadcast, like, how do you teach somebody about money? How do you teach your kids about money if you've never had it? How do you teach about money management if you're not used to having money to manage? You know, so we have these tools at our disposal. We want to share them with the community. We don't want anything from you other than to see you live your version of success, whatever that version is, whatever your version of happiness is, not our version, whatever your version of happiness is, and try to help you get there. And if we can do that one family at a time, one at a time, if we can change one situation at a time, it's worth 1,000,000 days of fighting. So together we can fight, and we can fight back. We have tools, so let's use them.
Thanks, Jerome. Joe, any last thoughts? And then I'm aware of time, so I do want to see if we have any questions. So make it quick, man.
You got it. So I just wanted to reiterate that we are a special type of financial institution. It's a CDFI credit union, and that's different than a regular credit union and a bank. And actually those financial institutions, they send people to us that they are unwilling to work with. That's our role. That's where we fit in. And my thought left, so I'll go back to the questions.
All right, then.
I Ashley, can I just pop in for a moment?
Sure.
We targeted for an hour, but this is some heavy duty information and I'm not going anywhere. So if we run over a little bit and people don't mind, I don't mind that at all. I want people to be fed tonight. And I don't want to have to rush it and say, well, we could have given you a little bit more, but the time didn't permit. This information is more precious than time. Time is good, but if we have time and we don't have knowledge, we don't have anything, we're just going to be wasting time. So if people don't mind and we run a little bit over, it's fine with me. We're not out in a building, we're at home and already, so it's okay, okay?
So I'll just, so then now I got that extra minute. I'm gonna add
Okay.
that
Now you're allowed.
the obstacles that we face, those I spoke to a woman a few weeks ago and she came back to me the next week. She said, I told my grandmother what you said. And she said, you're lying, right? She said, banks don't do that. So this is why we need your help. This is why we need help to say it is possible. We are a special type of credit union that you're probably unfamiliar with. And this is the work that we do. This is our purpose. So thank you very much.
It's true. And I find that with doing the business development consulting, people are always like, wait, this is free? Wait, what? How does it, like, yeah, people, I mean, so we really are as good as we say. Jerome,
Well,
you
I
look like
mean,
you were gonna say
the other side of it is, you know, Astra, and, you know, Angel, is you need a couple of things, and the most important thing that you need in order to get into communities that we want to serve is you need somebody that people in the community know and trust, right? Because without that piece, it's going to make it very hard. If they don't know you and they don't trust you, and you come knocking on somebody's door, you know, saying, hey, who is it? It's Loan, it's Grant. Go away, right? Because what, you know, it's not realistic, because that kind of thing doesn't happen every day. But when you know, like, and trust somebody, and you've known them for years, and you know, somebody that's been in the community, and you're saying, hey, listen, like, no, this is the real deal. It's like, okay, I'll give it a shot because I believe in you. And then you deliver, right? So then it's really important that we deliver. So, you know, going out into the communities, especially out in Chemung County, especially out in Elmira, talking to people about what we can do. And going back to what Joe says, people saying, yeah, you're lying. Well, how wildly valuable is it that we deliver? We have to deliver, because if we don't, there's no point in knocking on that door again. We have one shot. We realize that we have that one shot, and we deliver over and over and over again. And that's what gets me up in the morning. You know, there's still days that I see an email from our senior business lender, our senior loan officer, that says, you know, congratulations, you were approved. And I still get teary-eyed every single time it happens, because I see things that just don't happen on a regular basis. You know, and I see people that have had hope in their eyes that didn't believe that there was any. And if we can deliver hope as a tangible thing, and not just something that you believe in, but something tangible, it's hard not to believe in it. You know, so we just need, you know, the help to get the message delivered, and to help one family at a time every day as much as possible.
Absolutely.
Where are you located?
Go ahead. But so yeah, let's open it up for questions and conversation. If anyone else wants to, you can either raise your hand.
Where are you
or just-
located?
I'm not sure.
Where
Right
are
here,
you
somebody asked
located?
where we're located. So our
Oh,
building,
sorry.
our building is in Ithaca, New York, but our service area are all the counties that surround Chemung and all the counties that surround Tompkins. So we can help you, and we can do things through, you know, we have people that will help, you know, on the phone, we can deal with you. I drive around a lot, pick up things, drop things off. So we're doing what we need to do to work with folks.
Phone number. Your phone number?
I'll put that in the chat.
Okay. Thank you. How do you get in touch with you? You gonna put in the chat?
Put it in the chat.
What chat?
The chat.
On the phone? Oh.
Phone.
Other comments or questions? Sunday, what's going on, dude?
And I apologize, I hopped on late, had another event. What's stopping, I don't know if this was answered, I apologize if it was answered, for other banks from doing the work that you all are doing in the community? Because I talked to Jerome, I've talked to Joe, that you guys are doing a lot of great work with Alternatives Bank. What's stopping some of our other banks from doing some of the same work that you are doing? And why is it taking so long to do this work? Like, why haven't we been doing it already?
Yeah, I'm gonna call on our CEO, Kevin Metlicki, over there in the corner.
Hey, Joe, I got the answer to this one. So,
I know you do.
I look young. I've been in credit unions for 32 years. And when I got to alternatives, I felt like I finally got to a credit union that got it. The reason the others don't do it, this work, it's hard. It's expensive. You've got to make a decision on how you value the resources that you have. We have a limited amount of time. We have a limited amount of money. We have a limited amount of people. And we've made the decision that these are the communities we're going to do the outreach to and help. This is where we want to be. And I think that's what each financial institution sits down with and decides where it wants to go. You take banks off the table because they answer to shareholders. So if there's nothing in it for their shareholders, they're not interested because they're making money bottom line. The other credit unions, I think, comes back to somewhat the same thing. But I think it comes into more is it's hard. It's hard to go out and ask your local and federal politicians for help because it's free programs. They're not free. So if anyone is friendly with the local politicians, congressmen, and that, I'd love to meet you so I can meet them and tell them how not free our free things are, and that if they want us to keep doing these great things for their constituents, we need their help. We depend on their help too. So it really is a matter of the institution making the decision that they want to do the hard work in your communities.
Thank you, Kevin. And I'm sorry, I should have noted that you were here before. I just didn't see you there. So hi, welcome. And thanks for joining us. So Jerome or Joe, would you like to add anything onto that as to why alternatives is so great and no one else is? So.
Well, CFCU, I was just talking to a longtime employee of CFCU who left CFCU to go to work for another CDFI, Ithaca Neighborhood Housing Services. And he said, oh yeah, it's the president or the CEO of CFCU had been saying, if it was more profitable for me to be a bank, I'd do it in a second.
So yeah, I mean, it's the hard work. And I'm so glad that you guys are, willing to step up to it. Other questions? Oh, I'm sorry.
There is Mr. Scott.
Yeah, you had your hand raised.
Yeah, I had a question, and just to give a little bit where I'm coming from. I'm actually located in Norfolk, Virginia right now, but I was born and raised in Corning. Miss Verde watched me grow up, so she knows who I am. But I am actually in a mortgage business down here. I've been here for 20 years. So my main question is home ownership. I guess I'm biased to that topic. The barriers that I see down here basically is going to be either down payment or coming up with closing costs. Just to get a pulse of what's going on in upstate New York. Are you seeing the same thing? Or any other barriers that you run into as far as the home buying process is concerned and things of that nature as well? And I have some other comments as well, but I'll let you answer that right now.
We recently had a had a grant program for BIPOC folks. It was a $20,000 grant to help buy a home. So we're just bringing in grant money to help support this. We have another program called the Home Buyer Dream Program, where if you save $1,000, we can get you $9,500 to help. So it's just, helping people build, the obstacle you're talking about, down payment, right? So building that up, helping them get down payment assistance.
Yeah, George, we have a program that starts to address that as far as, we'll do a mortgage loan, 100% loan to value, no money down, no PMI insurance. We're not grading it out on credit score or that. It's the ability to repay the loan. But what I talked to other people about and why we need support is you look at the housing market in the Finger Lakes. If a person is buying a home at that home's stated value, well, they're lucky and they're getting a deal, because we know people are coming in from out of the area. They're coming in with cash. They want to buy these homes. There's such a short supply, and homes are selling for 140% loan to value. So though we try to, like Joe said, we can get you $20,000 to help with the down payment. We can offer you a loan, nothing down. And it still doesn't reach the inflated prices of home values in this area. So it's a real problem. And I talked to Congressman, I was just in DC a little bit ago, and he said, oh, we do a lot with trying to build, apartment buildings so people have adequate access to affordable housing. I said, okay, affordable housing has to be looked at in a different way. We're trying to do home ownership, trying to help people build wealth. Affordable housing and what they're trying and what they're offering just keeps people behind from ever creating that family wealth, or having pride in that they're homeowners. We need more help with that. We need more programs that will, level the playing field and do something about the escalating costs of homeownership in our area.
Yeah, I agree. I see it down here as well. It's just the inventory is so lacking, and people are constantly getting outbidded. And we have 100% programs down here as well, but coming up with the closing costs is the other challenge. Or if they have to come up above the listing prices, things of that nature. One similar forum last week I was in, the lady was presenting out of Richmond, and she said, to add to the woe, people in DC who are working remotely are coming down to Richmond with DC money just to buy houses so they can afford it down there. And I never even thought about that. And I said, that's just another added pressure to the, the first time home buyer being squeezed out of the market as well. So I feel your pain, I guess, for the lack of a better word. And solutions, are always a moving target. So that's why I wanted to chime in.
And I just put a link in there to some, I just did a search. I found some CDFIs in Virginia, but I just realized this is 10 years old, but maybe there's a list there you could contact, maybe find some resources and, just see what's going on in your community.
A lot of what we see what's going on in our community is Joe, what did you say the median household income is for Latinx and Black people?
Well, it's 36,000 for Latinx and 24,000 for Black families.
So, and this is where things get a little dicey. This is where generational wealth kind of kicks in. So what we're seeing, from the housing market standpoint is we are seeing property development companies, mortgage companies, we're seeing people come into communities such as ours, buying properties for pennies on the dollar, putting money into those properties and becoming landlords. Now listen, it's a solid business model. There's nothing wrong with it. And for a lot of people, it's a good wage. However, not everybody is able to get in on that game, right? Not everybody's got that $30,000, $40,000 to be able to put into a house and turn around and put some more money into it to flip it and rent it out to people. Like, not everybody can do that. We're seeing people from out of state, multiple states, out of state, Jersey, New York, wherever the case is, coming into our little community and buying large pieces of property that what you would call affordable housing, right? And the inventory's down. So with the inventory being down, you have to deal with the inventory that's available. So what's out there for people to buy? And in some cases, we're seeing people that are moving from Ithaca to Elmira because the housing market is even worse in Ithaca than it is in Elmira. You know, so affordable housing in Ithaca might be a $400,000, $350,000 house. In Elmira, that house might be $50,000, $60,000. But keep in mind, there are business owners out there every day that are looking for houses to put money into. And if you don't already have the money, you know, you kind of get left behind with what's left behind. So there are some struggles with that. I mean, there's some things that we can fix, but we can't solve every problem. We can solve as many problems as we possibly can, but there are some barriers, especially right now. I just came back from a conference from Phoenix, Arizona, and it's across the nation. You know, where everybody's kind of seeing the same things across the nation, and some people might call it gentrification. That's a fair statement. You know, it kind of is what it is. You know, we can be part of the solution to help solve the problem. You know, but we're not the whole solution, you know, so we do need help. We don't have all the answers. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I have all the answers, because that would be foolish. But we have to really understand what the problem is. And, you know, that's part of the problem.
But I wanted to just chime in and say, George, you know, I think that you just modeled like such a great, a lot of what we've been talking about tonight, which is the connective piece, right? And that you're asking what's going on up there, because I'm seeing the same thing down here. What are your resources? And Joe's saying, why don't you maybe hook up with some of, you know, resources down there like ours? And so I think that this is our kind of master plan to fight the gentrification, right? Is to connect with each other and to educate and, you know, just get the word out, whether it's in Virginia or whether it's up here. Other questions?
I have one question that any one of you can answer, address. You talked, when we had a brief meeting with you before, you talked about prize-based savings and more. And I was really fascinated with that, because so many of us don't have much money, but sometimes you have a little bit you could put away if you had some sense of how to, whatever. And you talked about that. Would you elaborate a little bit on prize-based savings?
I love this program. It was designed out in Michigan to help divert people from buying lottery tickets. And so the idea is that you put a certain amount of money in your savings account, and then you're entered into a cash prize. So this is a program that New York State adopted, and we pay into it. And so you open up an account, it's called the Lucky Savers, and you have to put at least $25 into it. That will get you one entry for a monthly cash prize drawing. So we have our own pool of money that we give out to folks, to our members, and then New York State also has a drawing up to $5,000, which I actually haven't seen anyone win yet, but I've seen them win a few hundred. But all it takes is $25 into your savings account, and you can do it up to 250. So you can get 10 entries per month. And yeah, and you can win money. And I love that program. Thank you so much for asking me to bring it up.
Is that savings plan on your website? I'm going to steal that.
Called Lucky Savers. Yeah.
Okay.
Anyone else? No? Okay.
Are you doing anything in Steuben County? I heard Chemung and Ithaca. Anything happening in Steuben?
Yeah, same things. Steuben is part of our service area. So, you know, it's really getting out to Steuben County, you know, and, you know, so Dr. Williams, we really need community stakeholders in the parts of the region, you know, that we serve, that helps connect us with people that know that need help. So especially out in Steuben, Corning area, same as Montour, same as Watkins Glen, same as you know, Elmira. Everything that we're saying that we can offer in Steuben County. And we're planning some events out that way. We'd love to collaborate with you all to figure out how we can do that in a collaborative manner. But yeah, everything that we're saying that we can offer also applies to Steuben County.
Yeah, that was my other question was, how can we help you get the word out to people?
Oh, we'll be in touch, my friend. 100%.
All right.
This is Paulette. I was going to ask also, is there any documentation or something that you have, any literature that anything that we could get out to some of the people? Because I know a lot of people that wanted to tune into this tonight weren't able to because of prior commitments. But if this is being recorded, so I know they'll be able to listen to this. But is there any kind of documentation or just flyers or just anything, or do they need to specifically call you and you could talk to them, other than being done like that?
I put my email address in there. You know, that's usually a good way for me to direct folks, figure out what exactly their needs are, and I can move them into places they need to be. The phone number is there. You can call. Our member service representatives will answer the phone. They can also direct people towards places.
Okay, but if I want to tell somebody about this, and now there was a lot said tonight, and I'm like Georgia, my mind doesn't always capture everything that's said. So if I wanted to tell a couple people about this, is there nothing that I could just give them or tell them, like, you are a resource that can help them financially, or
yes,
is that the only thing that I need to tell them, and they should get in touch with you?
Well, we're working on some additional marketing materials right now, which Joe is working on very diligently. But listen, we'll come to Corning to help two people. We'll come to Corning to help one person. So if you have somebody that needs help, and you know, even if they're in their home and they'll welcome us into our living room, we'll spend the time. I mean, it's about the mission, you know. So if that's what it takes, you know, and I would, you know, really like to continue this dialogue to, you know, even if we can just, you know, talk to 3 or 4 people at a time, you know, and just kind of grow it from there. I mean, this is what we're attempting to do. And one of the reasons why this is so hard is because it is true grassroots. You know, there are, you know, anything hard is, you know, and I'm talking to the NAACP, has been a true grassroots organization since 1909. You know, this is kind of what we're about, you know. So if you know, Paulette, if there's somebody that you know, you definitely know how to get in touch with me. If not, Georgia does for sure. We can make sure that we get out there, and if we need, you know, somebody needs us to talk to them, we'll come to you. You know, and it's not a problem at all.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Right, so we did that when we came into, when we went into Corning. We were applying for loans on phones. We were sitting with people on their couch and using their phone to apply for loans, open accounts. So we'll show up and we'll do it. We'll walk you through it.
Okay.
I like that personal touch. And one of the things we can do in terms of Paulette's question, I jotted down a lot of things that you say you do. We can set up some bullets, like you do counseling, address predatory lending, prize-based savings. We can give people some bullets and say, these are some of the things that you're doing, but you need to contact them to get for them to elaborate on how this is done. So we have some starting bullets that we can share with people. but the more we get, the better, because I think this is a fascinating forum.
I have one other
Sure.
question.
Go ahead,
This is
Jimmy.
Jimmy. One of the things that's hurting a lot of people's credit and being able to, for home ownership, is student loans. It's taking up a lot of their income and not being able to get their credit score up. Any counseling you do there?
So yeah, we actually have a specialist in our credit union that does help with student loans. You know, his name is Brendan. Super nice guy, more than willing to help people with their student loans. You know, but interestingly enough, people don't really understand how credit scores work. And I think that that's the thing that we really have to pay attention to. How do credit scores work? So, you know, as a part of a whole pie, like, you know, 100% of the pie, you know, 35% of your credit score is based on payment history. 30% of your credit score is based on the length of your history. 15% of your credit score is based on new credit. And 10% of your credit score is based on the mix of your credit and the amounts owed. You know, that is the actual breakdown. That's the mathematical formula, and it's solid. It's all across the board. You know, so with the student loan piece, like, we also have to understand the credit piece as well. You know, so a lot of people are, you know, I know people personally that said, oh man, I've had this credit card for 20 years and, you know, I'm just going to close it because you know, I don't use it. And that's not the right answer. You want to keep that credit card. If you're going to lose it, if you're going to take a credit card off of your credit report, that's not the one. You know, so we really have to pay attention to how credit works, and understand what those barriers are. And as far as our lending is concerned, you know, we don't look at student loans the way that a lot of other people look at student loans, as a barrier. Well, you know, now student loans and deferment when it comes to buying a house, like, yeah, it's going to be an issue. We have to figure out how to take care of that. And we have the tools necessary to help you take care of that. But, you know, applying for a personal loan, a car loan, a business loan, things like that, like, we don't look at student loans or medical debt, things like that, the same way that everybody else does. So we have a very unique way of being able to determine, you know, the ability to repay, as we call it, you know. And in my opinion, one of the biggest 5 C's of credit lending is character. You know, who you are and what your story is more important than anything else in that credit file. Who you are as a person and who you represent as a person is one of the things that we look at more than anything else. So I just wanted to kind of make that a little clearer, because it is important to know that when dealing with us, right now, I can't say dealing with anybody else, and honestly, I'm really not focusing on anybody else other than us. But I know how we do business, and that's, you know, kind of the way that we do it. That's how we look at it.
I just want to add to that. So, you know, we recently had a family, they just spent 4 years with our housing counselor, right? And they just bought a home. So what we need from you all is get people in the door, get people started. You know, they don't have to wait till they're ready or whatever. If they got whatever they got going on, we're going to help walk them through it.
I'm going to pop in here and say, thank you guys. No, we know the world was not made in one day, and we don't want to keep you all night, because I could listen to you for another hour, because what you're saying is powerful information for me. But I know people have to go and do things. Some of you might have not even had your dinner yet. So I'm going to go back to Astra and let her move us toward the end of this. And so you can get home, and then I'll give my thank yous and all. And after that, we'll have Lindsay close us out. So Astra, anything?
No, I just want to say, I just want to thank everyone for the rich discussion and the, you know, I'm going to say it again, all the connection and the, you know, the thinking together. And connecting and brainstorming how to move forward together. I have become, like Jerome and Joe, a walking commercial for alternatives, because I think that it's an amazing place. And I love doing the business development consulting that I'm doing with them. And I believe wholeheartedly in all of the services and the tools that that they have available. So that's just my personal endorsement. Like I said, I'm an ad. But anyway, so I just wanted to thank everyone and thank Jerome and Joe especially for your insight and conversation and, you know, all of that good stuff. And I will now hand it back over to Georgia.
Thank you, Astra. And on behalf of the NAACP and the League of Women Voters, we thank all of you, the moderator, the panel, for the comments, for the Zoomers, for the planners, and everybody connected, because without you, we would never make it. The panel has been powerful. For me, I jotted down just a couple things. I'll be brief. You've been relevant. You've shared relevant, thought-provoking information. You were talked about financial counseling, and you were and barriers, and you're barrier movers with a toolkit that works. And so I'm just impressed with what I've heard. And I think we need to pass this on, because if we are to have a healthy community, we have to have knowledge about how to survive in the community. As you're saying, Jerome mentioned something that's key. He talked about many people are not coming from wealth, and they are so happy to be able to buy a car or a house. They pay any interest amount people tell them on it, because they're so happy to get that. They don't think about how much it's going to cost them in the final analysis. So with this counseling and this education, it can help us navigate the system much better. So thank you so much. We probably have you again, or wherever you show up, we might show up anyway. So thank you so much, and may God bless you. Keep this information going, because it's almost unreal to me to hear what you're talking about, dealing with people who've been incarcerated, people with no money and still able to navigate the system. That is not the norm. So it is just as a new normal, just like COVID has given us. So you guys are functioning well under the new normal. So keep up the good work, and may God bless you. I have a few announcements, and then I'll be quiet. There are a lot of things coming up in the community in the near future. On May 10th, the League of Women Voters in the NAACP will co-sponsor a school board candidate forum at the former Washington Elementary School in Elmira, 422 West Washington Avenue, following their budget hearing at 5. They have the budget hearing at 5, and the forum, the candidate forum will be immediately after that. On Saturday, April 23rd at 11 a.m., there will be groups are sponsoring a bridge rally in Elmira, Riverfront Park by the Lake Street Bridge. It is designed to draw attention to New York Health Act and provision of the Build Back Better Act, also for legislators to bridge their differences, and that's on Saturday. Also on Saturday, the Man-to-Man Forum in Elmira, they're sponsoring a Men's Health Day from 12 to 4 at the Ernie Davis Center. And men, this is really for you. Women can come, but it's really targeting men. So that's also on Saturday. In late June, the NAACP will sponsor its annual Freedom Fund Award celebration. Stay tuned for further information. On June 18th, Juneteenth will be celebrating in Elmira. Stay tuned for further information. June 18th, the Poor People's Campaign will do a rally in Washington, D.C. They are doing buses from the Elmira area, and there will be much information on how to contact them and get prepared to go with them if you're able to do so. So stay tuned for that. And on August 2nd, Say No to Violence, Unity in the Community Rally, sponsored by Dr. Coleman and the NAACP. Stay tuned for that. Just want to kind of give you some information that we're going to be busy. So you'll hear more about this, and if you can tune in, support, we would love to have you, because we're all about unity in the community. And if we can get some healthy communities, we can sleep well at night. So thank you again for everything that you do, and may God bless you and keep you. And Austria, I can turn it back to you for you to call for Lindsay to do the closing prayer, or I can do it. So.
Well, how about we both do it, Georgia?
Okay, Lindsay, you're on. If you would
Lindsay,
take us out. And
please take us out. Thanks, everyone.
And thank you, Leslie, for being on board.
Yes, no worries. Will you pray with me? Heavenly Father, we just thank you for the work of Alternatives Credit Union and the information that was shared this evening. God, we thank you for the connections that were made, for the work of healing that is beginning around financial peace and financial wellness. God, we ask that you would continue to allow these seeds to be sown into fertile ground, that we would be able to continue to impact communities by the work that is being done. God, we ask that you would bless those who work and believe in this mission, that they would be able to spread it, God, that we would truly care for the naked, the hungry, the thirsty, and the imprisoned, Lord, that we would be able to do the work that pleases you in this time of financial uncertainty for so many. God, we ask that you continue to build your communities to be able to heal the financial gap, to be able to go forward in your name. And we just ask that you would be with those who are here this evening, that you would help them to end their evenings well, and that you would protect and keep them. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Reverend Black. And I didn't call you Reverend Black